Alright, we should be live. We're back. We're working on Electro, Assaulting Battery. Here he is in case you need a reminder of how he works. And we need to cut roughly half the deck. Half the deck and two more cards and we'll be done. And this weekend is the pre-release, so I would like to be done so I can figure out what avatar card I'm going to build around. I haven't decided yet. There's so many different legends in the set with different abilities. Probably going to avoid the firebenders, though. I'm pretty sure we've got that covered with Electro here. Of course, as soon as I start streaming, my throat gets all... that. My throat gets all that. Because why wouldn't it? Perfectly fine sitting here doing anything else. As soon as I try and start streaming, it's like, oh, by the way, phlegm. In copious amounts. Like, how? Where? Where exactly did this all come from? I really want to keep Gorilla Shaman, so I'm wondering if I get rid of, I wonder if I just get rid of Into the Core. I'm eventually gonna have to bring this thing back, I feel like, once all the Infinity Stones are available, but I wonder if I can get rid of Into the Core. I still need to get rid of literally half the deck needs to go. So that way we have room for the other half. Mirari is fine. Did I get rid of the other ones that blow up lands? I'm pretty sure that I did, right? So I just have the Citadel now. I don't mind Citadel. It either forces them to tap out or tap low or take a bunch of damage every turn, and sometimes they'll have to tap low and still take reasonable damage. You know, holding up 3 mana for a counterspell every turn cycle underneath that thing starts to get a little out of hand. Thinking about Goblin Bombardment, I'm thinking about Phyrexian Altar. They are nice to have with Electro because they're sack outlets to get them off of the table, but I also just have burn spells. Like, he's a 2/3. I can kill him with almost anything in my deck that can also go face, and that's probably good enough. If I really need to kill him, I can kill him, so. Considering extra planar lens. I really like Soulbright Flamekin. I'm wondering if I can get rid of any of the other creatures. Sigma Lasher. Sigma Lasher is less impressive than Screaming Nemesis, and I have Skullcrack and Sulfuric Vortex. Probably get rid of Stigma Lasher. Sorry, Sigma Lasher. My deck is more built around instants and sorceries, because that's what I'm rewarded for casting, in addition to all the extra damage that I'm dealing with them, so yeah, let's cut into the core. Just use Mox Monkey and Vandal Blast as my main artifact destruction effects. Get rid of Shrine of Burning Rage. I can build it up fairly quickly, but it's still a bit clunky between the 3 activation cost and the fact that I have to keep casting spells in order for it to get counters, otherwise it gets 1 per turn cycle, and that's abysmal. Yeah, I think the shrine is at its best when my other things are doing all of their work, so cut the shrine. The other cards do their things. Could be Charm Breakers. They're a 6-drop. They're at random. I still keep Fanatic right now. Fire Dancer's fine. Like Chandra. Love this Neheb in particular. I'm debating Runaway Steamkin. So, every 3 spells I cast, I get 3 mana back. If I want it. Urgy is better. The problem is like, other things are better, but I only have so many options for the better things before I have to use the clunkier ones. I am thinking, though, that I can probably get away without the Runaway Steamkin. It is cool that it works really well in this deck. Like, every time I cast a red spell, it gets a counter. Eventually, I get to remove 3 counters and add 3 mana back. Problem is, the creature itself is a bit underwhelming, and it gets, like, the creature gets more underwhelming the more mana I get back from it. Like, Burgie is always a 3/3, and every spell rebates me the mana immediately. So, this is very bad Burgie at that point for how this deck is working. The Bone Crusher for right now. Slaying Fire, Torbrand. Torbrand should probably stay. Leyline Tyrant can go. Theory. Vortex. Oh, right. Whirling Vortex also can cut players off of gaining life as long as I have the mana available. Exploration. Urgy, Goldspan, Magda, Rolf. A lot of these are going to have to go, and I just don't know which ones. Yeah, I think Stormkill and Artisan is better than Runaway Steamkin, even though they both fall under the category of, like, medium creatures that can get me back mana for the spells I'm casting. Like, Stormkill and Artisan doesn't trigger as often, but it stays big as long as I don't use the treasures. So it's actually potentially a dire threat. It also gets buffed by other things going on in the game. Like, it doesn't need to make the treasures itself. Do I want Cemetery Gatekeeper? Like, it's nice I get to choose what it's going to affect, but at the same time, if it's not something that naturally goes to the graveyard, I need to get something with that card type into the graveyard. Then instants and sorceries are kind of bad for me because then I'm taking 2 damage, and the opponents might not be if they're able to cast, like, creatures and artifacts and enchantments, and then I'm sitting over here taking 2 damage every time I cast a burn spell because I managed to hit an instant or sorcery. Yeah, I can see Cemetery Gatekeeper going. Very medium. Could be Fable, but Fable's always at least okay. Stockpile is fine. It can go. Like, at the end of the day, it's a mana rock that potentially gets a bunch of counters on it, and then. But then are we not tapping it for red mana? Because if we tap it for red mana and somebody kills Electro in response, then we can't also crack it to get, like, the 37 extra red mana it would have stored inside of it. Yeah, Glaring Stockpile is really cool, but I don't think we actually need. It's kind of like the auto generator, except slightly better. Slightly better until the auto generator actually gets going, and then the auto generator outstrips what it's capable of. But this one has more going for it up front, and the auto generator was way too slow, is just why I cut it. So I thought maybe Glittering Stockpile would still make it, but it's fine. We have plenty of other things that are giving us tons of mana. Yeah, Orabrask also the better Runaway Steamkin. This part. Virtue is fine, but I can see cutting it. It helps that it has a bad shock attached to it, or a bad lightning strike. That way, it's a burn spell on top of that. Shot. Keep Sunspire. Do like Razorkin. Creamy Boy gets to stay. Luck's good. Clive's good. I mean, all of them are good at this point, so it's just a question of which ones do I want to run. Is Bender's skin mediocre enough that I can cut it? Similar to Glittering Stockpile, every time I use it, it's like it's better than Glimmering Stockpile because I get the red mana every turn. So I only need 2 opponents for it to just be better. Because Glittering Stockpile is tap add red and then get a counter on it so it can add another red later on. Whereas, so it's still giving me access to 2 mana in theory per turn until I cash it in. So the Waterbender skin is definitely the superior one because it's giving me the 2 mana up front instead of making me wait on the other half, and it gives me a 3rd mana for a second opponent. Inferno Titan could go. Honestly, I can see Inferno Titan going. It's decent in the deck, but it's not needed. Fury stays, Ragavan stays. I'm not ready to cut Hearth and Home yet, but getting there. Fire is fine. Commander's Plate is fine. Like, I do like the two swords better than Commander's Plate, even though the plate is giving me protection from, among other things, white and black. So, a lot of the removal. That way, I have more say when Electro dies. The downside is if I wind up cutting um, Goblin Bombardment and Phyrexian Altar, then I have to be able to move the Commander's Plate off my commander to get him killed when I'm ready. Yeah, I can probably lose the Commander's Plate. Part of me wants to cut the Bothersome Closet, and then there's the other part of me that's like, well, I'm going to be casting a lot of non-creatures, so if I goad enough of one player's creatures, then I can attack safely into that player, and then that player has to send their stuff at, my other opponent, assuming it's a 3-player game. Gets slightly worse with 3 opponents. I think I leave it for right now, but I feel like I'm gonna wind up cutting it. Alright, so Scepter being online is the same as Order Skin if I have 2 opponents. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like which ones of these are better based on like under what scenarios are they getting used. If I copy Fiendish Duo, quick, I have 8 cards on the list. Alright. So 8 cards. Get rid of all of these from the sub lists. Alright, real quick. Alright, so 8 cards off the list. 114. Clear all this off. Alright. Sandra, Longshot, Razorkin, Sunspire, Imidane. Inscription, Orabrask, Chandra, Jackal, Roiling, Slay, Crusher, other Chandra, Perforos. Oh, Perforos is off the list, right? End up cutting him. Yeah. When we cut all the Goblin cards, I missed cutting that. I had cut him off of the list. I'm thinking Gutter Snipe. We have Inscription, we have Longshot, and both of them are better for this. And I no longer care about Goblins being in play. Alright, let's get rid of Gutter Snipe. Yeah, okay. Get rid of Gutter Snipe. Down another card up here. Alright, Scepter, Arcane Signet, Descend, Hearth and Home, Ragavan, Goggles, Roku, Waterskin, Zuko, other Roku, Orabrask, one Chandra. No. Right, I forgot to get rid of Glittering Stockpile. I can probably lose Skyclave Relic, honestly. It's the worst out of all the remaining ones. Get rid of Skyclave Relic. So Nyx Lotus is the most uncapped on them because I can just potentially have tons of red pips in play. So Scepter is the worst one of the group then, because the Waterskin is a Scepter if I have two opponents, and if I don't have two opponents, it's still cheaper and still adding 2 red mana per turn cycle. So it's close at that point, and then once we actually have a multiplayer game going, I can see losing Scepter then as the worst of the group. Still tempted to lose Stormkiln. Might be correct to lose Professional Facebreaker. Alright, real quick. Choose any creature, though, right? Is the thing. One or more creatures I control deal combat damage to a player, make a treasure. So yeah, I do have the benefit if I can damage multiple players in a turn, I can make multiple treasures, and it doesn't have to be the Facebreaker herself who gets in there. She wouldn't make it. I do have a fair amount of treasure production, but I also have a decent amount of exiling the top card of my library, and I can play it this turn effects going on, so necessarily need. Facebreaker. I could also, in theory, get rid of Magda. You have fewer dragons to tutor for. You can tutor for the artifacts, though, is the problem, so you can get things like Cage Sun or the Gauntlets, or sort of Feast and Famine. Alright, I think I get rid of Magda. She's just worse Ragavan for the most part. This deck, like, I don't have any vehicles for her to crew or any other ways to tap her down. Do you think we get rid of Magda? Tempted to keep the Facebreaker because of the other cards we have that make treasure. Like, if I get rid of like 2 or 3 more treasure things, then I'll be almost completely out of treasure, and then I can get rid of Facebreaker because she's a lot less impressive when she has to do all the work herself. Got Gutter Snipe off the list, and then I did not remove that thing. Alright, so Skyclave Relic. Scepter of Eternal Glory. And Magda. Alright, so that's 3 more cards off the list. It's down to 110. All. Deals X damage to each other creature without flying and each player based on the number of mountains I control. He's fine. He's not crazy or anything. I did just get rid of Magda, so I can't tutor him as readily. Yeah, I can see losing Ember Shard. Fire Maw can stay. The fact that I only have to cast 1 spell and it'll deal 4 damage to an opponent before it dies is already okay, and then if it lives, it just keeps dealing tons of damage, so. I have I have the 2 lessons, the intro and the exile. So maybe I don't need Chaos Warp. I've never been a huge fan of Chaos Warp. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand the appeal of it in a mono red deck, but I prefer to have a little more control over what's happening. Now, granted, there's almost no chance, but I don't want to be the one in a million where the opponent spikes the card I just killed, and now it's immediately back and I have to deal with it again. I also don't want to be in the position where it's like, okay, that kind of really needs to die, and then something worse somehow pops out of that one. I'd much rather just kill the thing and move on. Now, granted, there are plenty of times where you just reveal a non-permanent, an instant or sorcery, and it does nothing, or you reveal a land, and that's just way worse. That's basically Path to Exile on the thing in red for 3 mana. But I prefer if I don't beast within the opponent's creature and give them some dire threat to replace the thing I just got rid of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chaos Warp is not as bad as it in my head it feels like it is, but it's kind of like Gamble where I want to be in a position where if there is a downside to the card, it's actually either secretly upside or severely mitigated. And let's face it, if I have access to the cards that will do that, then I probably don't need Chaos Warp because I probably have other colors. So I'd much rather spend 2 more mana and kill the thing and just have the thing be gone. Let them draw a card, and if they draw, you know, if they draw something else scary, they at least have to invest the mana into it. They don't just get it for free. Yeah, still trying to keep all of these. Got Virtue, Bane. I keep thinking about Virtue of Courage, and then I'm imagining the turn where I just have built up this massive stockpile of mana for Electro, with Electro, and it's just like, okay, well, I don't actually have that much to do with it, so I'm just gonna start firing off burn spells and exiling, my top 20 cards and see if I can get a win that way. See if I can get you dead and still have enough mana left over where Pyro, where Electro kills the other player. But maybe that's not realistic. Do I need Fiendish Duo and Sulfim? Because if I don't need both, Sulfim is cheaper, um, and has the ability to become indestructible by eating 2 cards from my hand, paying 4 life. Whereas the duo is 2 more mana and can't save itself, and it's just a 4/4 first strike at that point. Now, granted, a 4 power first striker with that ability means it will deal 8 to anything in front of it, so it's a lot harder to block successfully. But past that, Sulphum is just better. And then we still have City on Fire and Emancipation. Yeah, maybe we don't need Fiendish Duo either. We're on. All will be one because I was looking at Sulphim. Still kind of want the visions. I have a bunch of cards with this effect, but I don't want to not find one of them because I'm a mono red deck. Like, trying to find card advantage takes a little more effort. So I'd rather have, like one or two extra cards that have that effect if I can pull it off. Definitely want Crackle. Crackle, one of the better cards. Could be Tyrant. Do I need Mirage Mirror? Downside to cutting Fiendish Duo is that Mirage Mirror can't copy them, and it already can't copy Sulphim. It can copy City and Emancipation. What are the other major things I want to copy with it? I'm starting to think that I don't need it. Like, there's a handful of things that are very powerful if I copy them, and then the rest of them are like either they're legendary or they're not like good to copy. So Nada can stay for right now. Skullcrack, Endoblast, Mortars. I think I can cut the Charmbreaker Devils. They're so expensive and random at the same time. Now, granted, we've cut enough of our things where most of the spells I could be getting back are going to be good enough. Excuse me. Where it's not going to be a huge problem that it's random. Like, there will be times where I don't get back a burn spell specifically. I get back um, Intro to Annihilation or something, and it's like, okay, that's not terrible, but I really needed a burn spell here because of all the other things I have going on. So, the randomness is not a huge deal, but the fact that they are a 6-drop kind of gets annoying. On the other hand, I do float mana every turn, so spending 6 mana on them is less painful. Hang on, I'm talking myself back into leaving them on the thing. Because I do like them in the deck, but they're not the best. And I might still wind up cutting them, but I think I should leave them in a little longer. Some more water. How many artifacts do I have left? Here. Let's go cut these 4 off the list, so... Pretty sure Thumber Shard is... Yeah, down here. The other 3 shouldn't be. So we cut these 4, go down to 106. Clear that off. And then we want to go looking for our artifacts. Yeah, part. So on. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Probably not. 16, 17, 18, 19. So I have 19 actual artifacts plus like 6 or 7 cards. Alright, not while I'm streaming. Not now. Jesus. Also, usually their pop-ups don't show up on my screen, so... It's extra annoying. Lost my train of thought. But we have like 5 or 6 things that make artifact tokens also. I'm trying to figure out if Galvanic Blast just isn't worth it. And it seems to still be, so... Right, back up to Mirrodin then. No, other Mirrodin. Fire Barrage, Burst Lightning, Jaws of Stone, Flame Javelin, the Soulbright Flamekin, Gauntlet of Power, Rate of Fire. I'm not prepared to get rid of top yet, mostly because a lot of my card draw is exiling my top card, and I get to play it this turn, so if I'm going to draw a land anyway, I'd rather have the land be the thing that gets exiled and I can play, and the other cards be the thing you don't know about, and that I can hold on to until I'm ready. Also, I have fetch lands. Yeah, I'm not gonna cut Insurrection, it's just way too powerful. I want to keep the Citadel if at all possible. It might not be, but I want to keep it if at all possible. Price of Progress, Ruby Medallion, Goblin Bombardment, Fire Blast. Blood Moon, Chain Lightning, Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything now that I feel particularly good about cutting. Some of the other stuff I was able to talk myself into, but I don't make a ton of creature tokens anymore. I probably lose Skull Clamp, if I'm being honest. Back when I was making dozens of goblin tokens, Skull Clamp made a lot more sense as additional card draw, but now that I actually have to kill off real creatures that I might have wanted to try and look for better stuff. In theory, it could be Galvanoff. A lot of my things are relatively cheap, but alongside Sensei's Top and all my other stuff, it can be really helpful if it's just going to cast the spell for free. Sun, Blasphemous Act. We're gonna keep the Charm Breakers for right now. Fire Dancer. Got Fire Dancer yet? I'm wondering how well this deck is going to be able to protect Planeswalkers. Like, I wonder if I should drop Chandra Dress to Kill. I definitely keep Awakened Inferno because that one's just incredibly powerful. Like, they're not going to be able to counter it, so it's going to hit the battlefield almost every single time. You know, there's like 5 cards or 6 cards that can stop it at that point. There's probably like 8 or 10, but still. You have to end the turn, exile the spell off of the stack, or bounce it back to my hand from the stack. And while cards that can do those things certainly do get played because of the ability to stop uncounterable spells, like Chandra, they are fewer and further between than, you know, regular interaction, and usually not as impressive because of that. So yeah, Chandra is uncounterable and gets to get the one emblem on everybody right from the start, so we keep her, but I'm wondering if I lose Dress to Kill. I'm more likely to be able to protect Torch of Defiance by the time she's ready to come down than I am to cast Dress to Kill in the early stages of the game. Like, if anything can comfortably attack her, she's just going to get beaten down and die. But Torch of Defiance comes out a little bit later and gives me more time to set up. Alright, I think I can lose Chandra Dress to Kill. Oops. Awakened Inferno. And oh right, they're also on the other list because they are direct damage sources and mana sources. Could be Bone Crusher Giant. While Stomp is a lot better than Embreath Courage or whatever the Virtue, Breath Blaze, something like that. So while the adventure is better, the body's just okay. Still not terrible. I would like to keep it, but alright, we are past the 50-minute mark, and I've been slowing down for a while now, so I think we make these last two cuts. We call it there for right now, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.